Hi everyone, how are you doing? Happy Wednesday. It's Wellness Wednesday, my favorite day of the week. I am just always excited to come to you and chat about all the things on Wellness Wednesday. And this week it's doubly exciting because it's also day one of our Mindful Nutrition Challenge. So I'm going to be setting up the videos and the daily accountability posts into the guides section, the same as we did for the 10-day mindfulness challenge. Super excited about this. I think it's going to be so good. It's also going to be really good for me because this is an area that I have been struggling in. But before we jump into that, we are going to just take a second and we're going to close our eyes and we're going to take a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And one more time, in through the nose and out through the mouth. Big part of mindfulness is really connecting to you, and I've already done my morning meditation and all that this morning. I had a very lovely morning, actually. It's very relaxing. My body was very stiff, so I went through a nice gentle yoga routine, felt nice and loose and limber after I was done. So it was just an amazing start to my day. But what we're here to talk about today is mindful nutrition. And as I was saying, this is an area that I've actually been struggling in a little bit. I have definitely let the circumstances of my life dictate how I was showing up in terms of my nutrition. And I uncovered some interesting things around this, actually. And I'll get into that in a second. But I haven't been taking very good care of myself in terms of what I'm eating. I've been letting my husband make all the decisions when it comes to the meal plan. I have been eating a little bit too much, a few too many treats, like just not being mindful of what I'm doing, which is not how I live my life, and it's not what makes me feel good. And I can notice a really big difference in how I felt in July compared to how I felt in August. So September is the time to reset and restart, and I really am excited to do this alongside of you and hope that you take the practices that we're going to learn together over the next 5 days and really implement them into your life so that you can have the results that you want. Because it isn't about dieting, and it isn't even really about what you eat. It's about who you are, as it is with all the things, which is why you hear me say over and over again that we're focusing on the wrong thing. We're focusing on what we need to do as opposed to who we need to be. And who you are is so much more important than what you do, because if you embrace yourself as a person who eats well and who treats their body with love and respect, and who knows that emotional eating is not going to bring you happiness, and that you're gonna that what you need is more whole foods. And I'm sorry, my dog is being obnoxious. I'm just gonna try and stop him for a second. Chance. Stop. I'm sorry. He's had surgery, and he's recovering, and he just loves to lick all the areas, and we're trying to keep him from doing that. So, and he's right over there doing it and not being mindful of his own injuries. Chancey. I'm so sorry. Chance, come here. Come on. I'm sorry. I need to really try and stop him from doing that because it's just too much. Anyway, he's not being mindful of the things that he needs to do either. He's such a clean dog, and he really wants to have a bath, but we're not quite ready to do that for him yet. Anyway, I apologize greatly. I hope that wasn't too distracting. But as I was saying, it isn't about what we do. It's about who we are. And we really need to step into the versions of ourselves that has enough love and respect for ourselves and for our body to really make choices that honor the life that we want. It all comes back to the core values that you have for your life and how you want to feel every single day. And we get to decide that. You get to decide that. You don't have to have that decided for you. The circumstances of your life don't have to define your choices. You get to decide, and it might take a little bit more planning and it might take a little bit more mindfulness, but it will get you out of the hustle, out of the autopilot mode, out of making the same crappy choices over and over and over again and not feeling as good as you can. And of course, when you're making those poor choices, it spirals you down into feeling bad about yourself, feeling guilty, beating yourself up over it. And we're going to talk about all those things this week and how none of that serves you. And even on the days when you're deciding you're going to have the things that aren't necessarily the healthiest for you, that's okay. Like, that's okay. We're going to talk about how we can do that and do that in a way that we still feel good about ourselves and our bodies, and that we are still honoring the life that we are building for ourselves. So it's all going to begin with some questions. So before we get into any of the practices start tomorrow. But before we get into and we're going to be implementing them slowly so that you have an opportunity to plan and get ahead of this and really lean into it and have success. I want you to see success, and the success is going to require a little bit of planning. But the very first thing that we need to do is look at ourselves and what we are working towards. So you really need to set a goal. What is your goal here in these 5 days together? What is it that you want to accomplish? What is it that you're hoping to walk away from at the end of these 5 days? What information is going to make you feel good about moving forward and doing this on your own? I really want you to have that success. I would love for you to share that goal below. For me, the goal is just to come back to me, to come back to a place where I am feeling that my food is fueling me instead of holding me back. And right now, I definitely feel like it's holding me back. I'm a little bit sluggish. My energy is not as high. I'm having those afternoon crashes that I never used to have before. And I'm filling those gaps with things that aren't necessarily the best for me. So I just want to feel good about myself, my body, and what I'm fueling myself with again. That is my goal over these next 5 days together. Your goal gets to be your goal and whatever it is that you want it to be. But I also want you to take it a step deeper than that and really ask yourself, how is it that I want to feel? What is it that I want to feel in my day to day? What's going to make me feel good? So I want to feel energetic, and I want to feel peaceful, and I want to feel just good, just good in my body and confident. So that's a good word. Confident, energetic, and peaceful. That is what I am looking to feel by implementing these practices, and I have felt them before, so I know they're available to me. It is just a matter of doing the work, and I know how to do the work. I've been doing the work for 10 years because, trust me, I have been in the place where I was absolutely in agony. I was miserable, and I was really beating myself up, and I was really going through the emotional eating cycles, and I knew that this wasn't working for me, but I didn't see a way out. That is not where I am right now. I just need to reconnect to myself here. But if you are in that place, that more hopeless feeling place where you just have given up and you've decided it is what it is and you're going to eat what you want and you don't give a crap about how it makes you feel, then I'm glad that you're here and I'm glad that you're willing to commit to yourself. And it's going to be so good if you take the opportunity to decide who it is that you want to be when it comes to your nutrition and why that is important to you. You need to have a deep connection to what you're doing in order to see lasting and meaningful success. It has to be deeper than I want to lose weight, or it needs to come at a soul deep, this is why I'm doing it level, so that you can stay connected and stay on track on the days when you don't really feel like it. Because here's the thing, there's always going to be times when you don't feel like it. When it's easier to grab something from the frozen food section or from the pre-made section than it is for you to make something yourself. I am the queen of this. My husband does the cooking in this house. Like, he is a husband extraordinaire. He does all the cooking in our house. I cook like once every blue moon, and he takes over, but I've also let him take over the meal planning completely. And he asks me all the time, what do you want to eat? I'm like, I don't even care. Can you just decide? But in doing that, I'm giving away my power and not giving myself the opportunity to give myself what I need to feel energetic and confident and healthy in my body. I want to feel healthy and strong and confident and energetic and peaceful and loved. And I want to feel that inside myself. But first you have to decide what it is you want to feel and what goal you are working towards, and have a deep connection towards that so that you can continue to move forward even when you don't feel like it. And it really is about becoming more present and aware of the choices that you're making. Because how many times have you ended up in front of the fridge and had something in your mouth before you even made a decision to eat something? I can't tell you how many times I have stood in front of the cupboard and picked up like a bag of Crispers or something and said, I'm going to have a couple of these while I decide what I'm going to have for a snack. And I've got like 20 gone before I've decided what I was going to have for a snack. That should be my snack. I should be done now. But I didn't even get to enjoy it because I wasn't present in the moment, because I was just living on autopilot, and that does not serve you and it does not help you, and it's not going to help you achieve the goals that you want in terms of your wellness. So it's really going to be important for us to become more aware and to try to become more present in our choices so that we are actually making a choice as opposed to letting it happen to us. Life doesn't have to just happen to you. You get to decide. You get to create the life that you want always. So create something that makes you proud and excited and makes you feel good in your body and about your body and makes you confident and energetic and happy and healthy and strong and fulfilled. All those things. Don't we want to feel those things instead? It feels so good to be on this side of it. And yes, I have been stumbling in nutrition, but I still feel really good about myself. And I know that this is just a stumble and I can pick myself up and start all over again. And you can start as many times as you need to, and it doesn't need to be a thing or a process, and you don't have to wait for a Monday, and you don't have to quit on a weekend, and it gets to be good, it gets to be easy, it gets to be joyous, and you get to decide exactly what it looks like. So I hope that is like inspirational to you. So we're starting with the goal and the feeling that we want to have at the end of this 5 days together, and then we're going to ask ourselves some questions. And I've written down the questions, so I'm going to glance at them so I don't forget to watch them and to give them to you. And these actually, full disclosure, these were given to me by my coach because I said to her in my accountability this week that I feel like my life is firing on all cylinders and that I'm having an amazing experience all around, but I am not being mindful in my nutrition. And then she asked me a series of questions, so I'm going to give them to you because they were really good and no need to do the work twice. So she really helped me fill in the gap of how to make this challenge better. I'm so grateful for her. She's so amazing. That is the benefit of working with a coach, someone who can see what you can't see because you're too close to it. I could clearly see this in someone else, but I'm not as good at seeing it in myself. So I'm grateful to have someone who has my back, who understands what I'm working towards, who understands what I want, to be supporting and leading me so that I can have the success that I want. So there's a series of questions that I want you to ask yourself. Firstly, I want you to ask yourself, what does mindful nutrition mean to you? When we say being mindful in nutrition, what does that mean for you? For me, it is just about becoming more aware of the choices and making the better choices over and over and over again so that I can feel as good as I possibly can. It really is about being a certain way as opposed to doing a certain thing. It is just becoming more aware of the choices that I'm making so I can continue to make better choices that actually fuel me instead of holding me back. So for me, that's what mindful nutrition is. You get to decide whatever the definition is. So I want you to think about, what does it mean for you? What does it look like for you? I also want you to ask yourself, how can you identify as someone who treats their body well, who treats their body with love and respect by giving it what it needs? How can you identify as someone who does that? Because if you were already identifying as someone who does that, you wouldn't be struggling with this. This wouldn't be a problem for you. So clearly this is also something that I am working on. So I'm going to be working on these questions with you together. I've already done a little bit of it, but I wanted to do it together because I want to come tomorrow and really talk about what was uncovered by asking these questions. What do you believe, what do you believe about yourself when it comes to eating healthy? Do you believe that it's hard? Do you believe that you just don't like healthy food? Do you believe that you have to sacrifice? What do you believe? What thoughts and feelings come up for you around this, around eating more mindfully, about being more mindful in your nutrition? Really ask yourself that question. What habits do you need to set up? So what habits right now are holding you back? What's keeping you stuck in the same patterns? Like, are you doing really good all day, and then at the end of the night, you're sitting down with a bag of chips before you go to bed, and before you know it, you've eaten the whole bag? Like, what habits are holding you back right now? And what new habits can you set up? Here's the thing with habits. You can't just implement a new habit. You have to replace it with something else. It has to be replaced with a more empowering behavior. So we have to really think about how we're showing up now so that we can replace it with something better. It really comes down to that, but we're going to dig more into that as we go through. Sorry, my dog is really being a nuisance. What do you need to eliminate? What can go? Like, what things are you doing that are really not serving you and can absolutely go? What can we replace it with instead? What beliefs have created your current reality? So whatever is happening in your life right now, you have created it. You have had a hand in it. It doesn't just happen to you. Life doesn't just happen to you. Your life is a result of a series of choices that has gotten you to where you are, and those choices were made by you. So what beliefs created your current reality? What must you believe about yourself for things to be the way they are right now? What must you believe about nutrition for things to be the way they are right now? So for me, I know for sure, I have a belief that things can't all be working perfectly at the same time, which is very interesting because I said in my accountability this week to my coach that it really, everything is going perfectly except for my nutrition. And the reason that is because I have a belief at a soul deep level that life can't be going perfectly for me in all things, that there has to be a struggle somewhere. But that belief doesn't serve me. So, but I didn't realize that until someone asked me the question. So you need to think about what beliefs have created your current reality. What must you believe to be true about you to have created this reality? And what beliefs do you need to have to create the reality that you want? Because we need to really replace one with the other to have a more empowering story, because all beliefs are stories that we tell ourselves over and over again until we believe them, until they become true for us. They're not fact. We have the ability to change them at any time. You can change a belief that you've had your entire life right now, today, by writing a more empowering story. It might take you some time to believe it, but it can be done. I have changed so many beliefs about myself. I used to believe I wasn't a morning person. Now I get up 5:30 every morning. I used to believe that I hated exercise. Now I work out every day. There's so many beliefs, but I'm noticing that a lot of my beliefs around nutrition are there's still some work to be done there. I have some things to rewrite. I have some old beliefs that are still there that are no longer serving me, that I need to replace. So I really want to think about what beliefs have created your current reality and what changes could you make. Small changes. We're not talking about huge, crazy. I don't want to overwhelm you with this, but what changes can you make that are going to make a big impact on your life? So what one thing can you change that is going to make a big impact on your life? And let it be something around the mindset as opposed to a practice. Let's not make it be, I need to do something. Let's say, who do I need to be to have the results that I want? That you need to constantly come back to that question. Who do I need to be? And then you need to be that person and make that choice for yourself by connecting to your goal, by connecting to the values that you want to show up every day, and by knowing that you are worthy and deserving of all amazing things, and reminding yourself of that over and over and over again, and tuning in over and over and over again, and stop letting life happen to you and create what you want instead. That's day one. I know it's probably not what you expected. It's probably not what you expected, but please take the time to ask yourself these questions. And tomorrow we're going to start with the steps that you can take once you've gotten to a place where you have identified the goal, your values, and exactly what beliefs are there, and how you can rewrite an empowering story, and how you can show up as a version of yourself who takes better care of herself. Then we can deal with the other stuff. That needs to be first. It needs to come front and center, because that is where the magic is. You can implement every other practice I teach you this week, and you will not have lasting success until you deal with the underlying beliefs, thoughts, feelings that are there, and change them to a more empowering story, because that is how it works. We need to believe in ourselves. We need to have faith in ourselves. We need to trust in ourselves, and we need to show up as the version of ourselves that already has the results that we want in order to have lasting success. That's it for me. If you have any questions, please let me know. I will be writing up an accountability post later tonight that just says, how did the journaling go? How do you feel about these questions? What did you uncover? And I would love to hear what comes up for you. That's it for me. Have an incredible evening. We'll be chatting again soon. Bye.